All right, let's welcome back to the show Tucker Maxwell from Guild Mortgage. Welcome back, Tucker.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm great. How was your weekend?
It was fantastic. Thank you. Loving the
Did
heat.
did you play a round of golf like me last weekend?
I did not. How'd you shoot?
Actually, I did better. I did
Good.
better. I had a great time out there. It was beautiful. I mean, it's like picture perfect. I don't know if I keep saying that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch these podcasts to see if I keep saying this, but it really doesn't get any better than this in the Northwest.
I completely agree. I think we've had great weather since about April, so we've been spoiled.
All right. So let's get into our real estate investing books and podcast recommendations. That's the topic for today. Why did you decide to pick that?
Yeah, so actually this stemmed from a conversation that I had with Mary. So Mary Abraham on your team, she was asking me, she says, hey, it seems that there's a lot of buyers on the fence and, just trying to get them motivated and compelled to buy. What resources do you recommend that, people that are toying around with the idea of investing in real estate should look into? And I was like, dang, that's a fantastic question. And there's some books that I've read that really have led me down this industry path. And so I thought this would be great to share with your followers.
Okay. So let's start off. What's a good book or podcast?
Yeah, so starting with books, I think there's really three main ones that I typically recommend. Two are very, very common. I think a lot of people would expect me to recommend these, starting with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Fantastic book. I think everybody should read it if you're trying to accomplish financial wealth or just, being well off or just not stressing about money. It's a great starting point. So starting there, Robert Kiyosaki does a great job in that. The second book I would recommend is The Millionaire Next Door. And what it does is it just like really profiles the characteristics of people that have done well in life. And I think a lot of it is really surprising to people. I read that book back in high school. And one of the surprising things, and I'll ask you this kind of trivia question, Dan, is what do you think the most commonly owned car is by people that have a net worth over $1 million in the US?
Toyota Camry.
It's actually a used Ford F-150.
Okay.
And I thought that was just weird. Like, one, I didn't expect a truck. I was thinking Honda Civic, maybe
Yeah.
Prius, but no, a used F-150 because they hold their value. And right now, trucks are hard to come by. And so just some interesting facts about, people that are wealthy aren't typically flashy, showy people. And that's the reason they became wealthy. So.
Yeah, and obviously I've read that book, so I kind of already knew where it was headed. But most people would think, well, maybe a new Lexus or a Bentley or something like that. And the truth is I would have to agree with you. Is it that what's the word? It's for them the wealth is not something to brag about. It's an outcome of a mindset.
Exactly. Yep.
It's an outcome of a mindset.
Cars are depreciating, and so not a great investment. So, just a lot of good kind of ideas in that.
So that was the Millionaire Next Door, and Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. I would also add the Mind of a Millionaire. I think is a similar one, nice and thick. Let's see, I got a couple others here that I'm going to grab.
And I got a new one that I just read. It was recently kind of re-released, and that's called The Automatic Millionaire.
Oh.
And that one was really resonated as well about, how to pay off debt, the importance of owning a home and paying yourself first and not renting, but really setting up automatic processes so that your funds, as you're earning income, is just automatically going to these places, whether it be to pay down your principal on your mortgage or to invest in retirement or savings or whatever it is, but have it all set up so it's just automated, so it's hands off, which I love, because if funds hit my checking account, I'll spend it. Like you, I like to play golf. I like to do these things. If I'm playing a bad round, maybe it's the putter, I'll go get a new putter. But if the checking account says the entertainment budget's over, there's no money left there, then I have to wait to get that putter. So this is a good way to put rules and kind of parameters around your spending.
Yeah, and another book, and those are all mindset. And this one is kind of the practical and maybe a little shameless plug. It's a Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, they wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it's the systems, models, and activities of a successful real estate agent. This is the systems and models of a successful real estate investor. And the thing about it is, when I get digging into this, I get really excited every time I read through it, because the tremendous opportunity that as many people don't understand around the world, the opportunity in real estate in the United States is pretty unique.
Yep.
There are other places to invest in real estate, 100%, but the barrier to entry sometimes is money.
Yeah.
It's not always necessary here
Totally. Exactly.
in our world. Okay, so books on real estate investing. Okay, what about for a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, so I think all of those will resonate well with a first-time home buyer. I think that they definitely should be read so you understand kind of how to manage money and so forth. But I think whether you're a move-up buyer or trying to buy an investment property, those books will resonate no matter what.
Okay, and then this says our first-time home buyer class is recommended. Do you recommend that?
Yeah, so I think this is a myth too that a lot of people aren't aware of first time home buyer classes or don't think they need to take it if they don't need down payment assistance. And what we typically recommend is if you haven't bought a class or bought a home before, there's a lot of great resources out there for classes that'll walk you through the process of buying a home. They'll allow you to look at the contracts and the forms that you're going to sign throughout the buying side of things, as well as the loan disclosures. And I just think if you are going to go through this process, and a question I always ask my first time home buyers is like, Dan, when was the last time you spent $450,000? And their answer is always like, never spent that much money. And it's like, okay, we should maybe do some things on the front end to make sure you're understanding everything before the contract's laid in front of you and you fell in love with the home and now the pressure's on. We want to make sure you understand what you're signing. And so I absolutely think it's well worth your time. They're almost always at zero cost to you to take the classes. And so just to make it a smooth, easy process, do some due diligence and do the prerequisite of taking a class up front.
I love that. All right. So what other resources should somebody lean on when it comes to real estate investing?
Yeah, so we didn't talk about podcasts. I think there's a lot of great podcasts.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So one, start with the Eastside Real Estate podcast. Listen to you weekly.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug there. Great resource to know what's going on right here locally. There's also the Housing Wire Daily that I listen to every day. It's about 30 minutes, but it'll tell you why interest rates are doing what they're doing or why is inventory down? What are the solutions there? It's just a really quick, really well done podcast. It's national, so it's not going to be specific to our East Side market, but a great resource to just know what's going on in the housing market. And then Bigger Pockets, obviously, major resource. I think they have 3 or 4, maybe 5 different podcasts now, depending on if you're a real estate investor or you want to do multifamily or whatever it may be. But if you haven't explored Bigger Pockets, it's another good resource for people to learn. And they've actually written books on rental property investing too. So if you're a homeowner that's looking to invest in your first investment property, definitely recommend their book on rental property investing.
Yeah, let's see. The Bigger Pockets has Real Estate Rookie. They've got the Bigger Pockets Daily on the market. So there's a lot associated with that group. And one of the things I think is great about putting that kind of energy out there is opportunity shows up. One thing that most of my investors will know is that there's an active role for them to play in their investing. I am not plate feeding them investments. We're doing it together, right? Yeah. And so when you hear more people tell stories of what they did to have success, you're going to start to have creative juices flowing. You go, oh, ooh, I can do that, or I could do this, or I could maybe change that. So it's something to strongly consider in order to get prepared. Yeah, podcasts are easy. And I love the daily ones, right? Because you just get a little bit every day to help keep you on edge. Okay, what other resources?
Yeah, so I definitely recommend including your financial advisor or accountant or tax preparation people in this process as well. So of course, align yourself with a fantastic real estate professional that can help write contracts and offers for you. You need to have a real estate agent. You need to have a lender that can help with creative funding solutions and to get you the money to invest. But then those other pieces, a financial advisor, if you work with a financial advisor that's helping plan your future, include them in this process as well. And we don't hesitate to include them. We love it. If they say, hey, I work with financial advisor, It's like, get them on the phone with us. Let's understand big picture what you're trying to accomplish and how does this one home purchase fit into that big plan. And so any of those key resources that you've leaned on for other things that pertain to finances, let's include them in this conversation so they know what's going on. They know that we're liquidating to buy this, and here's what the return is expected to be and what we're going to do with those returns and so forth to just better you along that, financial path.
Nice. All right. So last question. If somebody has a goal of buying a home in 2024, when should they start that process?
I would start that process now. And that doesn't necessarily mean, applying for a home loan or, getting you on the phone right away to look at homes, but start researching and listening to these podcasts, reading books, and really prep yourself. This legwork can take some time. And so if you're trying to buy in Q1 of 2024, that process probably should have already started to really educate yourself on what it takes to buy a home, how to ready yourself, and then be prepared to pull the trigger. And
yeah, and I'm going to answer this in two different ways myself.
Yeah.
One way would be if you're a first-time home buyer. So to prepare for buying your first home next year, you should start paying that mortgage now.
Yeah.
Right. So, get with Tucker, get with anybody that has a mortgage calculator and say, if I buy this home at this price, $850, based on that, what is my monthly payment to that? And you just basically put that into a separate account, move it out of your account every month, pay your rent, but maybe subtract. So pay your rent, but subtract the difference and put it over there. If you can put the whole amount, great. That's just going to help you save faster. But that was one of the tips that I used when I first started, because I was like thinking, how can I afford $2,600 a month? I can't. Right now I'm paying $750 a month, for, one room and out of 4 bedrooms in a house.
Yep.
And what was interesting was how easy it was to do it, because I was always spending the money if it was available to me. So just as a tip, do that. For the investor part of it, I would say pretend like you're buying. Actually, I would say never not look at an opportunity and calculate out whether or not you would buy it or not. I'm told that too, as a real estate agent, that if I go on a listing presentation, the first question I have is, would I buy this house?
Yeah.
Right? Would I buy it? And so as a investor, you should have some base hits under your belt. And they don't have to be real base hits, but you could actually go ahead and go, okay, I calculate that. Here's the rehab cost. It's going to rent for this. And here we go. How does it look? Does it match what I'm looking for? And if you did that every week, well, when you were financially ready, you would then recognize a deal that matched your criteria and have no problem buying it at that point. So
yeah, I love that. On the Bigger Pockets podcast, they always do that with every guest they have on there. They go through a deep dive on a deal, and they always want to know a deal that went very well and a loser. Like, we want to hear what happened, what went wrong on a deal that you penciled out. And so they always do like a good example and a bad example, and that's what they
learn by somebody else's mistakes, right?
Yep, exactly. So you don't make the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. Well, listen, Tucker, it's a great conversation. I think that, in any kind of a market, there are investors, there are first-time home buyers, all of that. If somebody is thinking about it, we know obviously the number was scrolling. I think we lost it. Did the number go away? To get in touch with Tucker, it's 425-757-9202. Yep. Any last thoughts, Tucker?
I think that's it. It's a great time to buy a home, so let's do it.
Great time to buy a home. All right. So next up, we're going to welcome Sarah Centeni with Sarah Centeni Coaching and Consulting, and she's going to tell us about high performance. We're going to talk about the other side of burnout. So come back after this short commercial break.